And in the agenda, Calvert Sports is sworn testimony. At that point in time, I guess we will officially call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And tonight our invocation will be given by Pastor Jamal Cobb from the Oak Grove Baptist Church in Apex. His inaugural invocation. Please come forward, sir, and thank you for coming. You can take off the me. It's tough anyway.
Certainly say good evening to our mayor and to our entire council here in our great town, and a heartfelt thank you for this opportunity to stand before you. And like to say, before I give the invocation, I have been a lifelong resident here in Holly Springs since 1987, when our town had lesser than 1,000 residents. And so I commend our mayor along with our town council for continuing to keep our town united, even as we navigate through tumultuous times. I commend you for your efforts, for your energies, for your sacrifices, and for your continued partnership. And it is my sincere hope and desire and prayer that as our town continues to grow, that not only will we grow numerically as it relates to our residents and our population, but we will grow in both love, unity, and it will be hinged on the hope that we have in one another to be one.
Hear, hear.
With that being said, I would like to bear in mind or to remind us of a statement I typically like to use. With that being, in order for us to do that, we must know the three bears. Bear our own burdens, know how to adjust with ourselves, bear the burdens of our neighbors, our town, our community, and of our ever-changing world. So, shall we pray? God of mercy, God of love, we thank you for this day that you've afforded us to have. And Lord, as we're standing here, we ask that you would guide our mayor and our town council as they make decisions for our community. Give them the wisdom, give them the knowledge and the understanding. Most of all, Father, we ask that you would give them love and compassion for our town, that they would realize and understand, even in these times of cataclysmic storms and calamity, that they would know that the decisions that they make are not just for today, but in the years to come. We ask for your guidance. We ask that you would continue to keep our town united as one, that we, at the end of the day, will continue to push for liberty, justice for all. This we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
And the church says amen. All right. In our public comment period, again, we do the current restrictions on mass gatherings. Public comment was received in writing and delivered to actually our town clerk. And she gave it to the mayor and the council members. And Madam Clerk, catch us up to date, please.
We had two public comments. The first was on pothole repair at the entrance to Braxton Village. And the second was regarding solar panels and electric vehicle charging stations at Carolina Springs.
All right, thank you very much. From there, we go into agenda item number 5, recognitions, proclamation recognizing the League of Women Voters 100th anniversary. I will turn that over to Christine Kelly.
Mayor, thank you for this great honor. As I invite Diana Wynn, President of the Wake County League of Women Voters, to come up, I would like to say a few words. I'm proud to be a member of our Wake County League of Women Voters, and they do great work. The league was founded in 1920, 6 months before the 19th Amendment was passed. And from that time, they worked really hard to make sure that all women can get an opportunity to vote. The 19th Amendment began that journey with momentum, and of course, we know it took till 1965 for the voter rights bill to give every woman a chance to vote. But in the 100 years, the League has really worked to keep moving forward with some of the missions that are a nonpartisan group, but it's about supporting the transparency of voting and helping people vote. And some of the good work that they do now is like the Vote 411 organization, which I think you'll talk about, as well as talking about other things like you helped raise awareness for early voting sites. And I know that we rallied as a council to get that pushed, and Holly Springs is an early voting site. So the proclamation that I'll come out, I'm here because of the COVID, I want to say is it's a proud honor that we recognize the League of Women Voters 100th anniversary, which falls the same anniversary as the 19th Amendment. The League was founded in 1920 as a mighty political experiment by the foremothers of the suffragette movement at the National American Women's Suffrage Association. And their goal continues to be to make sure that women are granted the right to vote and to carry the responsibility as voters. And the organization has worked tirelessly over those last 100 years to strengthen and uphold the mission to empower voters and defend democracy. And the League has become a trusted, nonpartisan grassroots organization. I know that the League now has men can now join as well, because we all share the same goals: to protect and strengthen the voting rights and access for free and fair elections, civil rights, children, community, health, education. And the League does continue to champion that government systems are open, transparent, inclusive, and equitable. So it's with great honor that I recognize and we proclaim in recognition of the League of Women Voters 100th anniversary. And thank you for all you do, Diane. You're a great leader, and I really appreciate all the work your organization does. Thank you for this honor. I'm Diana Wynn, President of the League of Women Voters of Wake County. This year we knew would be a huge year. It's the centennial of the 19th Amendment and the 100th anniversary of the League of Women Voters, as Councilwoman Kelly has pointed out. So 100 years ago in 1920, women won. They weren't granted. They fought over 70 years for it. They won the right to vote. And we were founded by those very same suffragists that fought for the 19th Amendment. And here we are 100 years later. And as we planned for 2020, we planned for commemorating the 19th Amendment. We planned for celebrating our 100th anniversary. And we planned for what we always do every election year, the 2020 election. Of course, a presidential election year makes it even busier for the League of Women Voters. What we did not plan for was a pandemic and everything that came along with that. And we're reminded that over 100 years ago, in 1918, right up into 1920, the suffragists were surviving their own pandemic. And in spite of that challenge, they continued their fight for the right to vote. So we continue our mission 100 years later, empowering voters, encouraging them to get registered to vote. And right now you can do that online through the Department of Motor Vehicles, encouraging them to have a plan for voting this year, whether that's mail-in absentee ballot. And we do encourage people to go ahead and apply for that ballot, even if you think you're not going to use it, or plan to go to early voting, or plan to vote on election day. In spite of a pandemic, voting is critical to our democracy. So we persist in spite of that. And I'm sure that when you ran for office to represent your community, you made no promises about how you were going to shepherd the community through a pandemic and the accompanying economic crisis, much of which we don't really know the implications of yet for our communities. So in closing, I'd like to thank you all for your service to the community, especially during such a challenging time. Again, on behalf of the League of Women Voters, thank you for this proclamation.
Thank you, Christine. Agenda item number 6, recognitions again. Recognition of the Shook Construction, Inc. for volunteer service to the town, Adam Hoffman Park and Rec. And he's very short.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. As most of you know, Shook Construction Company, they have been working at the wastewater treatment plant for the last year or so, working on the odor control project that's wrapping up right now. One of the unique features about Shook Construction is at the end of some of their projects, they tend to do some community outreach to show the token of appreciation for the work that they've received. This year, they reached out to the wastewater treatment plant, and particularly Sean Berg, to ask him if there's any departments within the town that would like to have some projects done as part of this outreach project. Luckily for the town, luckily for the Parks and Rec department, we submitted about 3 or 4, and they chose the Bass Lake Trail restoration project as one of the areas where they will pursue. Now, this area, if you remember, was decimated by Hurricane Matthew in October of 2016, so it's been shut down for quite a while. So this is about an area of 0.16 miles from the parking lot at Bass Lake, going all the way up to the eastern side of this driveway you see on the eastern side of Bass Lake. Now, what this project entailed is getting the trail ready to go and getting the groundwork performed, and also spreading mulch on it. Now, on the western side, luckily for them and luckily for us, our stream bed restoration construction project, they pretty much laid the foundation on the trail on this western side. On the eastern side, they actually had to do a little bit of groundwork there. They had to spread fabric on both the eastern and the western sides of the trail. And they also laid about 120 cubic yards of mulch in 4 days and some pretty heated times. They laid it about 10 feet wide, 4 inches deep in some areas. Some they laid 8 to 12 inches. So they took all the materials, they furnished all the labor and all the resources to do the work. And at the end of the project, you can see this is what it looked like on the western side coming from the parking lot looking down. They did a very good job there. And then if you look at this side here in the middle, this is on the eastern side looking toward the bridge, where they again went above and beyond, they call it duty here, spreading this mulch sometimes 20 feet wide. This is looking up the hill toward the trail there. And this is an area that they did. They also gave us 2 benches as part of this. Oh, yeah. And they went again above and beyond there. So what we did as a town is, you can see the little plaques that we've made there. We've embedded those in the top rails of those benches to show a token of appreciation for the hard work that they had done for this project. So now if Mr. Riley Poland come up here, he's the Vice President of Shook, as well as Jay Powson, he's a project engineer at Shook. So we can give him another plaque.
Gentlemen.
We'll keep our social distancing here. We'll have a photo up here at the end. But this plaque is presented to Shook Construction for volunteering staff time and resources to complete the Bass Lake Trail damaged by Hurricane Matthew, July 21st, 2020. So if any town council members or the mayor would like to come and take a picture, we'll keep that thing on here. So.
I think the town manager would be interested in doing that. You might also want to say a few words.
Or no, I'd love to say just a couple of words. Actually, I'll let you all take the photo off. But
I'll come up.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, in my 20-year career, I have never come across a company like this that has volunteered doing major work in the community, volunteer to do something different, a benefit, something to give back to the community and our residents. And I just want to recognize that. And I think it's a core value of your organization, and I admire that. And I want to recognize that. I hope you'll do this more in other jurisdictions as well. But I want to recognize that great work. I've not seen this before in any of the places that I've worked, and I want to just recognize that. So thank you.
Got a mask on.
you, Diana.
Next item on the agenda is item number 7, public hearing, refinancing of the W.E. Hunt Recreation Center. Patty Dressen, interim finance director. Hi, Patty.
Hey there. Of course, you have me follow someone his height, and I'm vertically challenged. So appreciate
I have the
that.
same problem you do.
So Mayor and Council, Patty Dressen, Interim Finance Director, Town of Holly Springs, I'm coming before you tonight for a public hearing about the refinancing of the W.E. Hunt Recreation Center. The purpose is to consider refinancing the original 2009 loan, which was approximately $6.5 million. The action would be to ask you to conduct a public hearing. We did advertise this in the paper as of July 10th, asking for public comment. Just a little bit of background for you. The reason that I'm asking for this refinancing, or I didn't just say leave the town, is because our current interest rate is 5.2%, and we can get a much nicer rate at this time. So the balance on the loan is approximately $3 million. Life of the loan remains through fiscal year 2027-28. So the refinancing does not extend the loan, but it wouldn't shorten it either. It would remain exactly the same amount of time. The anticipated new rate would be approximately 1.6%, and with an estimated savings is up to $500,000.
Not bad.
You have any questions?
Any questions at this point of Patty? All good? All good?
No brainer, it seems like.
And there is no motion on this, obviously, it's information only, so stay where you are,
Okay.
please. Agenda item number 8, public hearing. Open or close the public hearing because no one signed up. Excuse me, thank you. Agenda item number 8, public hearing, financing of Aven Ferry sewer force main.
Okay. Just as Mayor said, public hearing for the financing of the Avent Ferry sewer force main. Again, this is something that was advertised in the paper as of July 10th in order to ask for, public comment. The purpose is for you to consider financing this force main for up to $4 million. The action is to conduct a public hearing. Engineering has provided a map of what this area is that they're looking to upgrade. As you can see, 1.4 miles long, replaces an existing 8-inch line, increased pipe capacity with a new pipe capacity for the build-out demand in the area. And again, we're financing with an anticipated interest rate of approximately 2%. We don't have, I guess I should let you know that we will be coming back to you at the August meeting for both of these items with the actual installment contracts to approve. We don't have those at this time, but we do have everything pretty much lined up to this point. So again, this is just asking for your approval for the financing.
Questions or comments? Once again, we good? All right, at this time, we'll also open and close the public hearing again because no one signed up. Thank you, Patty.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Appreciate it. Next is agenda item number 9, public hearing, the Calvert Sports Academy and Development Center 20, this is a whole long one, 20-DP-06/20 SEU 0420 PARTC-03/20 PARTC-04, and Gina Clapp,
Good evening.
Director of our Planning and Zoning Department.
That is correct. Since the mayor introduced myself, I won't. But this evening, we do have a public hearing scheduled for the Calvert Ice Sports Complex. There's some additional information that we are awaiting from the petitioners. And so since this is an advertised quasi-judicial public hearing, we are requesting to open and then continue the public hearing to August 18th so we can receive the additional information that is needed.
Sounds good. Any questions, Gina, at this point? All good. Okay, we'll open a public hearing. We have one person signed up. That'd be Van Crandall. Would you like to come up, please, and to the podium? And again, as usual, restate your name and address, please.
I can't keep this on and my glasses at the same time without steaming up.
Amen.
No problem.
Good evening, Van Crandall, 4813 St. Ridge Road in Holly Springs. My comments at this public hearing are conveyed as a Holly Springs resident and citizen and not as a member of the town planning group. Assuming that the applicant's marketing assessments for constructing and operating an Iceplex in Holly Springs are realistic, the potential economic development outcome resulting from the facility, and including other appropriate commercial development fostered from it, could be favorable to the town. With approximately 272,000 square feet total for the multi-story facility, which would include multiple ice rinks and such. Electricity required to operate cooling systems will be energy intensive. The large rooftop footprint could be conducive for operating a solar PV system. Reviewing slides that were presented by the applicants during the joint public hearing with the Town Council and Planning Board in 2019, one slide stated, quote, advanced capabilities, and quote, end quote, solar, end quote. More recent rendering of the facility that was included in the June Planning Board packet and downloadable from the town's website appeared to show solar PV panels installed on the rooftop. It was indicated the structures were related to natural light and that the idea has not been fully discussed, but is not ruled out. With growing demand for electric vehicles, including changes to transportation systems resulting from the pandemic, the addition of EV charging stations in the parking lot and or at other appropriate parking areas within the PUD itself seems logical. According to the Duke Energy Renewables website, it owns and operates more than 614 megawatts of utility scale photovoltaic solar power projects at more than 52 solar farms across the country, delivering customized solar energy solutions to utilities, municipalities, electric cooperatives, and large business customers. So then, why not develop solar in Holly Springs? With Duke Energy providing large tracts of land for the project, including potential cooperation working with the town, the Iceplex project could help enable the town's capacity for developing solar policies, along with potential training opportunities for staff. According to the North Carolina Clean Energy Technology Center, located on the campus of NC State University, if the town requires assistance, the center would be happy to consult and conduct a feasibility analysis for both the rooftop PV and the EV charging through their energy and sustainability services offerings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, man.
At this point in time, we'll continue the public hearing. Need a motion to do so. So let's do roll call again. Graf.
Need a motion?
Motion.
So, yeah, motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll do it that way. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. It's continued till August the 18th, wasn't it? I believe. Yeah. Agenda item number 10, consent agenda, Mayor Pro Tem.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 16, new business, Aven Ferry Road widening, GB offered to Ralph Stevens, Town of Holly Springs Engineering Project 12-003. And that would be Aaron Levitt there someplace from engineering.
I'm gonna switch out to my speaking, man.
You don't really have to wear it while you're talking. If you don't want to, if you don't have to.
Oh, well,
It's up to you.
I like it.
All right, you got it, go.
Yeah, well, good evening, Mayor, Town Council. Tonight I'm going to be presenting to you the Aven Ferry Road widening project. We're ready to go to construction. So the purpose is to go over some of the details and some of the budget impacts. And the requested action will be to appropriate $2.2 million from the Street Reserves Fund. Some of those would be reimbursed and paid back, and then approve project budget and award various construction contracts for the construction. And those are all detailed in your packet. So as far as the background, this project was identified as part of the comprehensive plan. It's anticipated that construction would start in the fall and then probably go a year. We have 365 days, and it is partially funded by NCDOT through an 80-20 grant. And then whatever happens tonight, the decision will be contingent upon final NCDOT concurrence. So here's an overview of the project area. It runs from NC 55 all the way to Ralph Stevens Road. Actually, I'll remove this. So starting at NC 55, Aven Ferry Road only takes traffic from one direction, and that's the southbound 55 direction, going westbound on Aven Ferry. So it is just going to be one lane right there coming down Aven Ferry Road. And once you hit Village Walk Drive, the facility will change to a 4-lane median divided road. We would have landscaped islands. There's an 8-foot sidewalk on the south side running all the way from Ralph Stevens to NC 55. And there's a 5-foot sidewalk on the north side. Drainage improvements, curb and gutter, the turn lane that will be required for the Mungo Stevens project will be incorporated in with this project. We have a change order ready to go at the pre-construction meeting. You would see a forthcoming agreement for that cost. The Mungo project would actually pay for all those improvements. And one of the improvements along with this project that's a little bit more innovative would be here at Mally Jack Way. The blue star shows where we would have a continuous green intersection. We go in a little bit more about those details. Problem that we saw when this light was installed here at Mally Jack was it reduces the PM or increases PM congestion. The cars heading west on Aven Ferry stop there for vehicles exiting the shopping center, and it did cause quite a backup on 55. So now we're going to have a continuous green intersection, which would allow this left turn to go at the same time while maintaining traffic traveling in the westbound direction down Aven 55, down Aven Ferry Road, sorry. And you can see down here on the bottom left, there's kind of a little illustration that shows how the eastbound traffic would stop with red arrows. And then the left out of the shopping center would be given a green, and the through traffic is also continued green. Now, in the case where we do have a pedestrian that initiates the ped crossing, all traffic would stop and the pedestrian would be allowed to proceed across the road. So as far as public outreach work that we've done on this project, we had a meeting in 2015, and then in January of 2020, we held that at Holly Springs High School. We did get some comments on those meetings. They mostly related to the median spacing. We did what we could. The main concern was the Trotter's Bluff folks not being able to make a left out of their subdivision, but they're allowed to go into the Morgan Park neighborhood to come out on Paddock View and actually make that left safely. As construction moves forward, like I said, we still need to get concurrence from DOT, but as we begin work, we'll be updating folks through social media, the town webpage. We will put up some digital message boards before the project starts. Throughout the project, there's going to be several different traffic control scenarios. And so we'll put the word out when those scenarios are going to shift and change.
Our contractor also will be mailing or hanging door hangers for properties that their driveways may be impacted. And then our department will be sending out direct mailings to residents. To go over the budget summary on this sheet, project costs. So the costs end up at about $2.9 million. And then as far as how we're going to fund that, so today we already have about $500,000 in previously funded work, the design and right of way. We will be receiving, we already received reimbursements for some of this project, which was $163,000 in combination with some of the sportsmanship way reimbursements that have been received. Therefore, we're asking for a transfer of 2.236 from street reserves. Now, in the future, as the reimbursements are received from various projects, we still need to finalize the sportsmanship way project. Those reimbursements would be fed back into street reserves as they're received. And then in the future, we have had some recent discussions about NCDOT funding, and they're paused right now. But in the future, we do anticipate approaching them and requesting some additional funding. We estimate this at about $225,000. The project did go slightly over the construction administration costs were a little higher than we expected, even though the construction costs were slightly lower than expected. But all in all, after the project is done and reimbursements received, we should have 2.033 million received on reimbursements. Okay, so with that, I'll just go to any questions.
Questions or comments, Sir Baron, please?
Just one on the budget. The Mungo piece for that turn lane would be subject to the developer agreement that's in the works. So there's no appropriation of funds for that piece of this right now.
Well, we've had some discussions with John. I don't know if they're going to include that in the agreement or in a sub agreement outside of it, but I think it would be included in an agreement.
Okay, so we're not moving money for that part until that's done and we have a change order with them ready to go.
No, we have a change order. We're going to solicit the contractor day one. It's already ready. As soon as we get the pricing back, we will send it to the developer and legal, and we'll work out the agreement.
Thanks.
Yep.
Aaron, just a quick question. The signalization at that intersection there, the continuous green, is that going to be altered AM versus PM? I mean, how long there's time between that? Because obviously it's pretty frequent on the inbound on the AM, traffic going, north eastbound there, that could log jam that already pretty congested road as it is. So.
Yeah, so this is going to be a signal that gets tied in with the others, and we will be able to adjust the timing.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
And then also during construction, we have a bunch of different penalties set up for if you're closing lanes outside of the work time allowed. Before we said that wasn't allowed, now we're actually assigning penalties. So if you do see folks out there outside of or in between the hours of 6 to 9 and 4 to 6 p.m., let us know, please. Send us an email. Picture would be great, but we're hoping to end those issues with the barrels coming in a little bit after the time limit and some of those lanes still being closed when they should be open.
So that light will be tied into the fiber network controlling the lights as well.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Other questions or comments?
I have, Aaron, do you have a summary of the benefits of why you want to do this? Do you have an estimation that will help move so much more traffic down into Ferry, or it'll help us on the bypass?
Right. I don't have a formal written, but I would say the main improvements would be functional improvements. We're not gaining a lot of capacity given it's only 0.34 miles long. Now, if we did this for another mile or include phase 2, we would gain some capacity there. So yeah, the slowdown of traffic on the 55 is the main concern, and also pedestrian crossings, riding pedestrian crossings and sidewalks. But it's really, you're going to see the capacity benefits once we move on to phase 2, and you really get a nice stretch of 4-lane median divided running out there. We wanted to do that section inclusive of we want to do this project inclusive of phase 2 originally, but the road classification actually changes right there, and we were unable to combine the two projects.
Other questions or comments? Good? 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 Okay, we have two motions. Somebody want to tackle them?
Make a motion to approve the project budget and transfer of funds from street reserves to the project account in the amount of $2,236,751.
Second.
Motion made and second. Let's roll call. Sean McGrath,
Aye.
Christine Kelly,
Aye.
Dan Barry,
Aye.
Pete Wilson,
Aye.
Aaron Wolf.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Number two.
Motion to award the Aven Ferry Road widening contracts for a total of $2,139,759 as detailed in the agenda packet.
Second.
Motion made and second. Sean McGrath,
Aye.
Christine Kelly,
Aye.
Dan Barry,
Aye.
Pete Wilson,
Aye.
Aaron Wolf.
Aye.
All right. We're all good. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks,
Good
Aaron.
job. Good project.
It's been 5 years, finally getting there.
I know it. It's been 5 or 6. That's how long it is. Agenda item 17, new business, adoption of a portion of Woodfield Deadend Road. Rachel Jones, engineering. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, good evening. Rachel Jones with Engineering, bringing before you tonight. The purpose is to consider the authorization of the town to adopt a portion of Woodfield Deadend Road from NCDOT. The requested action is to approve the Woodfield Deadend Road adoption. Just to provide a little background, Woodfield Deadend Road is currently under NCDOT maintenance. And it bisects the Carolina Springs planned unit development, which has been annexed into the town. The DOT has requested that this portion that bisects Carolina Springs is abandoned and that right-of-way is adopted by the town. With Carolina Springs planned unit development, they will be aligning or realigning and improving Woodfield Deadend Road to town standards and renaming that portion of the road. Once this item has been approved by the town council, the resolution would then go before the NCDOT Transportation Board, where they will provide the final review and approval of the request. To give you an overview of the limits of what we're talking about this evening, highlighted in yellow, this is Woodfield Deadend Road, the portion that we are requesting to adopt. That goes from Woods Creek Road up to the northern boundary of Carolina Springs planned unit development. Are there any questions?
Questions or comments? Sean, you got one?
Rachel, when do we actually start taking over responsibility for the road, or is that going to be developer until, the standard most developments, till the second stage of pavement goes back down on it, or is that?
So as soon as we receive the approval from the NCDOT Transportation Board, that's when it would become the responsibility of the town to maintain. But the developer is responsible for the construction of those improvements to our standards. So it's still something that's on their development plan that they are responsible for constructing. It would just be after that has been accepted by the town, it would become our maintenance issue.
So that's, I guess, what I'm getting at, the timing of that. So the construction of that, and this is a multi-stage project, obviously, for this PUD, heavy vehicles going up and down that road. That's not going to be turned over for us to maintain until all of that is complete, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Good. Good. All right, we have one motion. Would someone want to tackle it, please?
Approve the authorization of the town to adopt a portion of Woodfield Deadend Road right away from the NCDOT.
Second.
Motion made and second. Sean McGrath,
Aye.
Christine Kelly,
Aye.
Dan Barry,
Aye.
Pete Wilson,
Aye.
Aaron Wolf. I love
Aye.
these roll calls. Nice, isn't it?
You're back in.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Rachel.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Other business, I got a couple things, brief. To catch you up, what you've been doing, we've been doing every meeting. COVID-19 update, the latest I have is in the county, there's 8,354 cases with 86 unfortunate deaths. in our zip code, which includes not only Holly Springs, but a few other places around us. 136 cases, one unfortunate death, which I think is very, very good news, except the one, of course. Continue to wear the mask, 6 feet apart, and we'll get there. We'll get there. But we're, as our zip code, I think we're doing a good job. That's what I think. And then the other thing is, a couple things. We got a thank you letter from the Holly Springs Community Band. You remember this? They're thanking us for the donation, a grant donation of $2,000. Great band. They're really coming along strong. Unfortunately, right now you don't hear them much. And then the Holly Springs Chamber sent us a letter saying thank you for the generous donation. Combined total of $15,000 made between April and June for the Angel Fund to help small businesses in our town. And I think that's wonderful too. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Who else?
I just wanted to add that, thank you, Linda, for taking, I just looked at some of the minutes that you have to do from the last meeting. Linda, other staff members working through COVID and making sure that everybody's safe.
Yep.
Communication and talking with the communication department. I appreciate it, and thank you for all of the work that you do. I also want to talk about the heart of Holly Springs. I continue to see neighbors reaching out and helping other neighbors, seeing folks encouraging small businesses to visit our local small businesses. So I think as a community, we recognize that we have to take care of each other, and I just appreciate that we're stepping up and seeing the churches work together, doing outreach in the community. It's a nice thing to see, and I'm really proud of our town for doing that.
A lot of movement there going on, churches and with other people here. We're proud of that. Who else?
Couple quick things. Randy kind of came to mind. I know we talked about this a couple months ago, and I forgot to talk about it during the budget cycle, but since we did talk about EV charging stations, just curious about, again, how difficult it is to change the one at our town hall to a paying device rather than a free for taxpayer device.
All right. That has been something that's been on my radar as well.
Yep.
And we've had a little bit of staff internal conversation on it. We don't have right now a specific action plan on the change, but that is something. I think one of the things with the budget that you adopted, you have some funds, some capital funds related to facility maintenance improvements and things of that nature. I think these types of expenditures would be appropriate for that. And so that's one of the things that we'll be having staff look at. I think, this charging station, as well as we have a couple spots in the deck, in the public parking deck. And, we're going to look for some opportunities there to see if there's a way that we can convert this one and add some there. So we'll report back more on that, but we've got that on our radar.
Okay, thanks. I totally appreciate that. Thanks for that follow-up. Would like to say, Councilwoman Kelly and I just had our first landfill working group meeting downstairs just before this meeting. So we'll have more to follow on that, but trying to figure out, how we can best articulate our perspective to the commissioners, and not only just our perspective, but the perspective of obviously all the residents of Holly Springs, and the concerns that we all have with the malodorous effect of said landfill on our community here. So more to follow on that. We've decided we're going to try and meet on a monthly basis at 6 p.m. just prior to this meeting every month right now, and go forward from that. So that's that perspective. And to put a finer point on what the mayor always talks about, I looked at this today. I've been watching it a little bit because I think, unfortunately, we always hear too much of, I don't know, I guess I'll comment on it as the bad side of what's going on. And I see a lot of the comments about, well, we've surpassed another max rate of COVID cases in the state or things like that. And what's not being reported on, unfortunately, are some of the true statistics that haven't changed a whole lot since March. And I think it's important for us to all to keep a context of that. One, to go, okay, yeah, so some of the things we're doing are working. Obviously, the positivity rate in the last 3 weeks has actually dropped from 10% down to 8%, and that is straight off. These numbers are straight off the NCDHS website. this afternoon. So the latest and greatest. So they're down to 8%. We've done 1.5 million tests in North Carolina. There's been 103,000 cases and 1,668 deaths as of today. So 25% of those cases are below the age of 24 and not a single death, thankfully, for any person below the age of 24. So again, these are things to kind of keep people informed and make your decisions. I'm not saying anybody needs to be out there being reckless, but we need to understand some of the statistics that are out there, I think. And I'm glad that they're all posted up on the NCDHSS website. 45% of the cases are between the ages of 25 and 49, yet there's only 6% of the deaths. So unfortunately, there's still 100 people in that age category that have died, but that's an overall death percentage of 0.09%. So pretty low of the cases that are out there. Obviously, the worst scenario, as we talked about way back into March, is 12% of the cases are age 65 and up. So 12,300 and 300 and some odd cases. But of those, that represents 78% of the deaths. So 1,300 deaths, age 65 and above. That's about a 10% death rate of people that have caught COVID that are 65 and above. So I think that puts it in perspective of, how we need to continue to look at this and the people that need to be protected the most in our society and our community as we move forward, because we're seeing this is continuing to go on for much longer than probably some of us expected early on. So I think it's important to look at all the numbers, not just some of the numbers that are being thrown out there by the media every once in a while.
Exactly. Thank you. Other comments?
On a slightly different note, I just want to thank the farmers market for another great outing on Saturday. My family went, and despite the heat, there was some really good turnout, and I came away with my mask and a whole ton of vegetables and treats and dog treats. I mean, I think we spent and bought a little more than we anticipated. But it's a very diverse group of vendors there with a lot of options, and it's a really nice farmers market. Yeah, exactly. And some of the trees there do provide a little bit of shade for moments, but I'd encourage everybody to hit it up.
A half an hour earlier start time also.
We're not that early riser. We're on the latter part.
Other comments?
I wanted to thank Mr. Crandall for providing us all with information today during the public hearing, but also previously with his email that he sent to all of us. A lot of interesting information and potential partnership opportunities, especially with some of the programs like the Soul Smart program that offer counseling and technical resources to planning departments to basically maximize their UDOs to make solar more accessible for more people. And we had about 6 months ago a workshop on sustainability, and my takeaway from it was that we don't have the budgetary bandwidth or really the staffing bandwidth to tackle a project as big as creating sustainability policies for our town. But this is a potentially cost-free way. There would be at least one staff person who would have to dedicate some time to it, but a lot of the groundwork and behind the scenes work would be done by other groups and really advise us in the best practices moving forward. And we have a big UDO revision coming up. A lot of input is going to be gotten on that. And I think if this is something we want to talk about, incorporating these new policies into our UDO revisions, it might be something to tackle around the same time. A lot of communities around us have participated in the Soul Smart program. Apex to our north just received gold status. So I don't know if it would fit for us, but I think it's at least working into, and I'd love to at least get a presentation on the program at an upcoming workshop so we could learn more about it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
The only thing I'll add, I think it's our only meeting in July, and I was a little skeptical at first with the July 5th fireworks, but I think I heard only positive comments after the fact from residents. I think a lot of people got to take it in various parts throughout town, different parks, different neighborhoods and things like that. So I think a lot of people saw that. I could hear them from my house. I couldn't see them, but I was able to watch it on my phone, which is kind of cool given everything that's going on. But kudos to Parks and Rec for staying the course and getting that done for all of our residents. The Last thing is I'll wish all of our staff a nice few weeks off here. We don't have a meeting the first week of August or a workshop in August, so it'll be a nice little continuation of our summer breather. You all deserve a few Tuesday nights back. I know I'll certainly enjoy a few Tuesday nights back, and I hope you all do as well. And we'll see everybody at the third week of August.
Everybody seems to be shaking their head this way. That makes sense? It does, right? I agree. Thank you, Dan. Anybody else? Anything else? Next on the agenda is the manager's report.
Mayor Pro Tem, in that spirit, I'm gonna go ahead and take next week off, so.
For it.
Which I
No,
am.
no, it don't count.
No, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just one item, as you recall, whenever we complete a new facility or building, it's tradition that you have a plaque that's put on the building that commemorates the opening of that facility. When we opened the parking deck right adjacent to us here, at the time of that opening in October of last year, we did not have the plaque at that time. And in the spring, we did acquire the plaque. We've got it already. And then we had a plan to do that little ceremony, if you want to call it that, at the early part of spring. COVID came. We put a pause on that. Now we're in the heat of the summer. And what our thought is to have that plaque unveiling in October at the 1-year anniversary. It'll be a little bit cooler. Maybe some of the COVID conditions will be a little bit different for some folks being out there on the corner to make that commemoration. So I just want to make you aware of that we'll plan to do that October. I think that's October 6th, if I remember correctly. I think you have a council meeting on that particular night. We'll try to do it just before that. So anyhow, more to come, but just wanted you to know. That's all I have tonight, man.
Thank you. Counselor, do we have a closed session, sir?
The manager is desiring to go into closed session to discuss his performance review or ask for the performance review, or somebody could make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to general section 11A,
6.
number greater than 5 and less than 7. 6.
This is a private joke. Go.
I always look to Mr. Ferry for knowing the statute.
I got it. I don't know if you heard me, but I said it.
I know. I heard
Okay.
you. Yeah, you got it right on.
So moved, Counselor.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're in closed session. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Pastor.